It's my primary YouTube channel. I greet everybody upon this evening. We live from the mobile phone. I'm not on StreamYard. I'm not on my computer laptop. I'm using my mobile phone. This is why it looks vertical like that. So anybody can swipe in, swipe out, more so than using the laptop for those who know about that part. But we here to have another conversation, man. You know how we do it. We have these interesting conversations. A lot of y'all know my disclaimer. I'm not a pastor preacher. I don't hold any type of office in the church. So please do not lay claims of those titles on me. We're not here to violate any type of community guidelines, any type of copyright infringement, or any type of privacy guidelines at all. Shout out to everybody who want to join it live now, who's going to join us live now, in the middle, and those who want to join it when it uploads to YouTube. Shout out to all the stalkers out there, the stalkers, the tellers. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the haters. Shout out to the false prophets. Who else is out there? Everybody. This is a public platform. I posed two questions on the side of YouTube. The poll question is, I wanted to be funny with this one. I wanted to because I hear some people been making mistakes in answering the poll question. So I asked the question, are you a Skittle? I can almost guarantee everybody's going to say no, and really pay attention to that question. So 100% so far said no. The Q&A question, what is the difference between a person, being in a Skittle lifestyle and or, I meant to put or making a mistake. So we're here to talk about that. My question to the public is, why are there so many Skittles in the church? Why are there many Skittles, so many Skittles in churches? Excuse me. For those who don't know what Skittles are, just think about the alphabet community. Certain terms you can't use here on YouTube or, a lot of social media platforms in regards to that group. So we got to talk in certain terms. So, nothing gets flagged or anything like that or picked up in a computerized system. Why are there so many Skittles in churches? Huh? You understand why? I would like to hear the people's answers and stuff like that. We definitely can have a conversation in general. What's up to everybody? Once again, what's up to Henry Ross? He said these fake so-called churches ain't teaching nothing, and that ain't teaching on parenthood structure, so they're just going on feelings and whatever it takes them. Well, you got to also understand, there's Skittles in every church, sir. Whether it's Christianity, whether it's Baptist, Holiness, Catholic, there's Skittles everywhere. You understand? There's no church, I can almost certify this. This is basic common sense. Unless it's like a really small church, there's at least one Skittle in there, whether on a DL, in a closet, or out in the open. You know what I'm saying? So let me know about that. What do you think about, if it's like a upscale holiness church and there's a brother or sister in there that's struggling with that lifestyle? All right, what's up to Tortoise? Shout out to you. But I also think there's a difference between somebody struggling, right, and somebody who just don't care. What's up to Shelly House? He says the real issue today is false churches letting influences in demons among believers, and it's time to stand firm and confront them boldly with the Bible. Well, here's the deal. Once again, are you saying just false churches have Skittles there? Let me know. I want to get this make sure I'm understanding y'all good. Are you saying that there's only Skittles in false churches? All right. What's up to Eddie Johnson? Shout out to you. What's up to Arlette? He says, hopefully they are there to find the truth and to pray for healing. When you are sick, you go to the hospital. When you need healing and strength, you come to God, his safe space to learn how to fight. Well, I understand all that. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. But then again, you got some people who don't care. You know what I mean? They just don't care. They play around with church. And I'm not talking about those people who trying to get right and trying to make an effort. I ain't talking about them. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about them. I'm not mainly talking about them. I'm talking about the ones who don't care. You know what I mean? Or who got one foot in and one foot out. All right. What's up to what is that? Geraldine, Alina, A Brown. What's up to what is that? Fantabulous. Shout out to you. What's up to Shannon68? Shout out to you. Hope all is well with you. That's Shannon68. So that's what I'm mainly like talking about. A lot of other YouTube channels may pop up, different churches and stuff like that. May pop up here on YouTube or Facebook or even TikTok. Although I don't be on TikTok, they have these advertisements on Facebook. And you might see some some churches and stuff like that, or some YouTuber talking about a situation among church people. What's up to no unknown? You says tad bit. I don't know what you mean by that. And I mean, I really don't know. But there are YouTubers out there, and I tend to watch certain things for informative reasons. Um, you know, because as you mentioned earlier, as far as like church being a hospital, I don't I want to be careful with this one. I haven't came across or been inside of a church before, whereas though everybody's 100% perfect right there. But would that be an excuse? Would that be an excuse for people to have wicked behavior like that? You know what I'm saying? What's up, the EFP? Shout out to you. Shelly House says, no, there are Skittles in every church, but I feel they shouldn't hold any title in the church until they overcome their problem. You know what? That's a good point right there. That's a great point. You understand? Now, if, how can I put this? Hmm, the church I came out of, the false church I came out of, they had, hmm, they had the Skittles. They had this known Skittle. They had this known Skittle. Everybody knew he was a Skittle and stuff like that. They put him up there behind the podium to speak, man. You understand? Clearly, he's a known. I'm talking about a known Skittle around the way since he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no, this person used to do it when they was young. He's still doing it. And they still put him in the pulpit. And still to this day, they putting this individual in the pulpit, the false church I came from, and whatnot. Patrick says, I can, what are you talking about, man? What is he talking about? How you just come on a live, right? About, what I'm saying, why there's so many Skittles in churches. You come on here and says, I can meet you after church, or you can meet me at the baseball stadium downtown. We have a church outing tomorrow at the stadium. Who is you talking to? Who is this guy talking to, man? I don't know what you're talking about. What's Michael O? You says this topic should be one that you really enjoy. It seems that all you ever talk about are Skittles and Christians. Here's your opportunity to wild out. Yo, that's funny. I ain't gonna lie, that's funny. That's funny. You know what I'm saying? That is funny. I mean, yeah, Henry Ross be going, he be going little, you know what I'm saying? But it's a lot. He talks about Christianity, not Christians. You know what I'm saying? He's right, but there's a lot of individuals who's skittling. There's a lot of them out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot. So I can understand where Henry Ross is coming from, man, because it's a whole lot, man. You know what I mean? That's a heavy thing that's going on in churches. You know what I'm saying? Individuals skittling from the pulpit to the congregation, man. Doesn't matter who it is. You know what I mean? That was funny though. Helena says people love to indulge in that type of sinful behavior. I definitely believe it's in every church. It's different when you fall short and make a mistake, but to remain that way is awful. Absolutely. What's up to Gino P, Suzanne Miller? He said sorry the text was for someone else. What? The text was for someone else. Wow. You having meetups through the chat room on here, man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, man, if you scheduling drug deals and all that, man, on here, nah. Take that somewhere else, man. You ain't gonna try to get me caught up. What's up to Joshua? Shout out to you. Hope all is well with you. So as we was talking about Skittles, in every church. So I did ask the poll question, are you a Skittle? Somebody said yes. Believe it or not, somebody said yes. 98% said no. 2% said yes. I mean, unless that was a clear-cut mistake or your finger slipped or whatever, your phone dropped and accidentally hit that button or whatever, you know. What's up to brother SV? Shout out to you. What's up to Sister McDonald's? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Mr. Patrick says, I had too many windows open at the same time. Listen, man, I don't even want to know what website you was on. If you was on OnlyFans or whatever, you meant to set that text to over there. I don't know. But whatever you engaging in, man, listen, make sure you send the right text in certain areas. Because I ain't know what you was talking about, sir. You know? You said sorry. I mean, you're forgiven. Yeah, I mean, but you ain't got to repent to me. I ain't God, man. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do with those other windows, man, you got to repent to the Lord for that one, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But we here talking about Skittles in churches. You understand? You also wrote another message. You said you come in peace. School bad. Man, I don't know nothing about no Red Sox, but David B says I'm not a Skittle. I will hope everybody answer no, but I'm pretty sure there's some in the background. You know what I mean? So Shelly House, you made a good point to what you said a little while ago. I want to scroll back to that comment you wrote at Shelly House. You said, no, there are Skittles in every church, but I feel they shouldn't hold any title in the church. Absolutely, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I 100% agree. There's something about if one have the title pastor, even in any type of auxiliary, any type, I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're right about that. You know what I'm saying? If a person is struggling or in that lifestyle, that's why I asked the Q&A question. Is there a difference, right? What is the difference between a person being in a Skittle lifestyle and just making a simple mistake? You understand? All right. Michael says there can be Skittles right where in the chat people are from all over. You will never know because you will never get to meet them. All Skittles are not flamboyant unless you are around. You don't know. I mean, you're right about you're right about it. You understand? I just raised the question. Why? Why are there so many Skittles in churches? You know what I'm saying? Why? You know? All right. Patrick T says, I think Skittles hang out at the church. They're trying to force the doors open because it's hard to kick them out. It's real bad in Atlanta. Oh yeah, I hear about Atlanta, often with that type of group. I think Atlanta is number one with that type of stuff, I think. I'm not too sure. I think the population is number one out there, which is crazy. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of them all over the place. But I'm talking about churches, and you said you think Skittles hang out at the church. Me too. Me too. I know what you mean. You know what I'm saying? Just like we had, just like a fella gave a testimony about infiltrating the church and whatnot. I think Skittles try to do that too. You know what I'm saying? I think so too. I think that's more so dangerous. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them get on auxiliaries. And then when they got those bad spirits on them, just think about it. If a Skittle um is playing the organs or whatever the case may be, and he is living that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? That's his lifestyle, and he's playing the organs. You know what I'm saying? In front of a whole lot of people, with those bad spirits on him. He's not. He don't want to change. We ain't, I'm talking about people who don't want to change. I'm talking about people 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You know what I mean? All right. So yeah. Um. Let me see where we at. Gino P says McQueen switched up after hearing PJ. Well, I don't know about him. Yeah, I don't know. When you take a look at the pictures and stuff like that on his Facebook or whatever, or over social media, I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, I know a lot of us from the hood. You can tell when a person is a crackhead. You can just look at this person. Like this person is a crackhead. How the way they act, their personality, their mannerism. If you from the hood, you hung out on the block, you know who are the crackheads, and you can go to a different area and you can see a person you never saw, but you know, listen, this person right here is a crackhead, man. You know what I'm saying? It's almost the same thing when you know a person is a Skittle, man. You said this fellow over here, man. You could just tell he got just a bunch of sugar in his tank. Not that I don't care to that extent, but you could just tell. Sometimes you could just tell right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? Right off the bat. All right. Um, what's up? The sister trying to strive to be holy. Um, Michael O says my thoughts about them being in the church is because pastors let them and they enjoy their musical skills. All they want is their talent. This conversation was never talked about in the church. Well, the churches in general, I mean that's on them. But on this platform, man, I'm going to talk about any and everything. You know what I'm saying, that comes to the table, or that we could politic about. You understand? And in reference to, using individuals for their musical talents, that right there is dangerous, especially if they have a lifestyle, man, of that, man. I don't trust no Skittle playing whatever or doing whatever in the church. I don't care who they is. I don't represent that. You know what I mean? That's just me. Coming from the false church I came from, they putting Skittles up there, and I wasn't even in the truth at the time. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even want to come to church around that time. You know what I mean? But after the fact, going to that false church, you be like, this person ain't supposed to be up. That was just basic common sense of me. Basic common sense. Some things are just basic common sense. And it feels weird when a woman is up there preaching. It felt weird. I wasn't in the truth. Certain things just felt weird. You know? What up, Elias? Why is skittling? It says they took the month of June, the whole month of June. Wow. Well, I don't know nothing about that one. What's up to Bob T? He says, now understand it. You say, now you understand the meaning of Skittles. What's up to Jake? Jake says, growing up, our organ player was Skittlerific. Oh man, Skittlerific. That's a good one right there. All right. Sister's trying says, please pray for my young adult group as I pray for you all. All right, appreciate that. Shannon68 says, they are truly multiplying like roaches. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean? All right, Patrick T says, I wouldn't think no little boy is safe in the Queen's Church. That's basic common sense. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? And that goes for everybody, man. With anybody who's skilling it. You know what I mean? You got little boys around them. No way. No way. You understand? Listen, far away. Far away. if that. Yeah, I mean, don't even look too long. You know what I'm saying? Don't even just look straight ahead. Just walk past. Yeah, I mean, simple as that. Listen, I wouldn't want anybody of that type of behavior, lifestyle behavior. You know what I'm saying? Around young boys. You know what I mean? Riley says I'm in NYC. Let me see where we at. David B says I saw a video. No, I read something else. Excuse me. Really says I'm in NYC, and I see them every day. All I can say is that I hope God wake them up and they accept themselves for who He created them to be. I agree with you. I agree with you for sure. David B says I saw a video of a Skittles so-called preaching by a YouTuber. He would later get into with his BF outside of a club. Sick-minded fool. A Skittles so-called preaching. How does that work, man? Listen. I don't even know how that work. I don't even know, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't take no Skittles serious at all. Period. You know? If they so-called preaching. It's crazy. Suzanne Miller says no little girls either. Absolutely. But it seemed to be more so-called brothers skittling. I'm not specifying any church, I'm speaking in general. It seemed to be so-called men of churches outweighing, you know what I mean, women who like women. You know, you see more Skittle men in the church. See it more. And like somebody said earlier, not all Skittles appear flamboyant. That is true. That's why I was speaking about it's obvious you can tell some people who are skittling. It's just so obvious. It's so obvious. You know what I mean? But whoever said that earlier, you're right. Because there are men out there, a lot of men in the churches who are masculine, who dress, whatever way, who even have a wife. You know what I'm saying? They tipping and dipping with men in churches. And that's in every church. Almost every church, excuse me. That's in almost every church. You know what I mean? Tipping and dipping with each other. You understand? All right, Elias says, yeah, they said this month is theirs. They had a big celebration going on in Sodom and Gomorrah on this month and literally at the same place. Wow. Wow, excuse me. Jake says, met girlfriend's mom, organ player, worked at college. I brought up his name and looked on her face. She said, what are you doing around him? He is a Skittle. He says, I tried to play it off and said, don't know anything about that, but you have heard play what is that? I don't know what that is. B3, he can play like no other. He says, a couple of months ago, brothers sent me a link to YouTube. Organ player was walked out of Denny's by a mob. He was caught with a 21-7, right? Human being. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. And there's stories that come out like that every day. Every day. I just don't have the time to put it out. Or YouTube. They really don't want those type of videos up. You know what I mean? Because it could lower your algorithm. But literally every day. Every day. Stories like that pop up with men getting arrested. You may hear sometimes women, like teachers and stuff like that, but it's more men doing that. More of them. You know what I mean? All right. Let me see where we at. Sister is trying. You says my neighbor is full of evil. by nature possess demonic activities daily. That's crazy. What up to V Coleman? Tortor says straight out her holiday heart and it. What a shame. Holiday heart. Holiday heart. That's funny. Shelly House says, also not all women look like they are Skittles because they dress professionally. Absolutely. Jake says, Brother Tony, his convo was recorded. The phrase he said, I used to be a youth pastor. I have a special place in my heart for young people. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you say he used to say that all the time. I don't trust no individual. No individual with words like that. Especially no Skittle, man. Keep Skittles away from children. You know what I'm saying? Keep them away. Keep them away. I mean, I wouldn't want, when my kids were younger, I wouldn't want that around them. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to be around Skittles in a church. I don't want that. I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? Jake says a weaker Christian would question the faith. What do you mean by that? Let me know what you mean by that. Let me see where we at. So Gino P. He says, nah, Pat, you was jacking attraction. Them nasty comments are recorded on TNT's chat room. You said nothing about looking up or psychology, bro. Well, I don't know what y'all talking about. Uh-oh. I don't know what that's about right there. He was jacking M attraction, F and F. I ain't talking about Glorilla neither. You know what I mean? M. Wow. So what is that about at Patrick T? Elias says someone said TD Snakes his one is one. You put his one of the Transformers. What up to Willie? Shout out to you. 759 says I just joined. What is a Skittle? Just think about the alphabet community. You know what I'm saying? Michael O says the last years of Biden's presidency, he had a big Skittles party on the White House lawn. I have never seen anything like this. They were all over him. Men showing. You put breath, but I think you meant the cleavage bigger than some women. Sad. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. Jake says I was young. When you have a person of leadership like that, it can make a weak person question if God is real. If someone like that is roaming freely in the church, I mean, yeah, for some people, yeah, but it's like some may allow it. You know what I mean? Some may allow it. They may think there's nothing wrong with it, or they may think they are getting delivered or struggling with it or whatever. Like I said earlier, some people just don't care at all. Mr. Patrick T, where you at? You know what I'm saying? What was you supporting M attraction? Patrick T said that's what you don't understand. P in psychology, desire is M attraction, whether it's looking up to or desiring physically. It's all desires. It's just levels of in it. No. I disagree heavily. I ain't talking about heavily. I'm talking about the weight. I disagree. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I ain't learned that in no psychology class. I don't know what college you went to. Know what I'm saying? I ain't study that. I ain't like psychology class. I passed it, but I don't remember reading nothing like that. No, I didn't. I don't remember that. I don't know who was your professor. You know what I mean? Did they add that in that class? Did that professor add that? Because oh no. I would remember something like that. I don't know where you get that from, man. You know what I mean? We ain't had that, man. We ain't had that. No way. You know what I'm saying? Nope. He said in psychology, desire is same imminent attraction, whether it's looking up to or desiring physically. No way, man. You know what I'm saying? I know I was a kid, Michael Jordan commercial used to come on. Everybody want to be like Mike. Or Deion Sanders doing the Deion. Or Mike Tyson. Ain't no attraction. What you talking about? You know what I mean? That's skill wise. Man, I want to shoot the ball like Mike. How Mike do that? How Mike dunk? You know what I'm saying? How Deion, his awareness to catch those interceptions like that. You know what I'm saying? Or when he played baseball. I ain't looking at that man on a physical sense or looking up to is different than M attraction. That don't got nothing to do with it, man. They don't have nothing to do with it, man. That sounds Skittles. Oh man, I'm attracted to Deion Sanders because he was a good defensive player and a good wide receiver and a good baseball player. What? No, no. You know what I mean? No way. All right. Gino P says I was shocked, even though we just don't agree on scripture. I never thought some would be so wicked with them Skittles comments. That is why some bros call him Sweet Tea. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, I didn't know that. What up to Johnny? He said University of Fruit Boots he went to. Wow. Toy says he went to Holiday Heart. Oh man, yeah, funny. What's up, this Solomon? Patrick T says, it's my fault. I forgot I was dealing with men on a first grade reading level on TNT. Shannon, I was trying to explain the third grade concept, and it was just too much. Nah, man. No. Like I said, maybe that's what they taught y'all there, whatever. But it's just basic common sense. As a man, no. If a man say he's you put M attraction. Look how that sounds. Look how that sounds. Just think about it clearly. You put same sex attraction is the same as you said it's different levels, whether it's looking up to LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Deion Sanders, Jerry Rice, Ken Griffey Jr., Floyd Mayweather, Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods. You know what I mean? That's the skill of somebody. Wow, man. I want to play golf like Tiger Woods, man. How can I get better that way? Better. I gotta run more. I gotta do more push-ups. Nah, the stuff you talking about, man, that's a little like, nah, man. No way. Jake says, Brother Tony, is it wrong to make a small millstone about 6 inches and send to the prosecutor in care of what? I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about. You gotta be right there, because I don't know what you're talking about. Eric says they tried to hide behind the word that they don't even understand. Patrick T says the how you going to disagree. The how? Huh? You said you the one with the psychology degree. How you know I don't have one? How you know I don't have one? I just don't talk about my college education on here. I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if I got a master's or not. You don't know. I just don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk about that stuff. For what? You know, if you got a psychology degree, kudos to you. You know what I'm saying? I think psychology, it could be one of the most easiest degrees to get alongside of communications, but hey, it is what it is, man. You know, if you better your education, then fine. Because just because somebody has a degree in something, that doesn't mean they're 100% right in always what they're talking about in that subject. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. You know? Because I could have a degree in criminal justice. That don't mean I know everything about the law. Different states, right? I don't know everything about the law. You know what I mean? But I totally disagree with that comment you made about same-sex attraction. We talking about that. We ain't talking about anything else. What's up to Johnny L? Redley says it doesn't look normal, and I have a hard time explaining it to my sons, especially since they are and at an impressionable age. Sad part is they are confusing the youth. That's how you know. He said that's how you know, not of God. You wrote. All right. Let me see where we at. Solomon Stevens says, I think Skittles are majority in the church because they want God's acceptance, which they subtly try to prove, which they can't. That's why. Mm. Wow. Patrick T says, how it sounds to someone on the first grade level. Well, you don't know what level a person is on. You know what I'm saying? Person may have more education than you. You don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know if that person went to Harvard or Yale or Cornell. You know what I mean? Or one of those top Ivy League schools and got valedictorian. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. You don't know if this person is a professor over here or the dean of a university. You don't know. You know what I mean? But if you thinking your education is everything, you know what I mean? Or up there with everything, that is going it can take you place and you always write whatever subject you got a degree in. I could that's like me thinking I'm always right. Wow. I went to college for elementary education. I know everything about education in the elementary world. Huh? No way. You can't think like that, man. You know what I'm saying? You really can't. Shelly House says, I know people who have a college degree and no common sense. Gino P says, Nas' son said verbatim, same-sex attraction is not a sin. What? Wow. Mr. Thompson, did you say that? Did you say same-sex attraction is not a sin? You know what I mean? RC says, greetings. This behavior is openly practiced in churches. It's rampant within the fake up to the point of distracting from the man of job. And they can spot so-called Christian people a mile away. All right, Henry Ross says, it's them hitting Skittles who you must watch out for. Excuse me. Michael O said, this is here to say, but I was told that when many young girls go off to college and party a lot, getting high, they experiment with girl on girl. And it has also been said that some men do the DL. Well, here's the thing, man. I mean, I don't know nothing about that. The college thing with girl on girl and boy on boy, and whatever the case may be. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I haven't heard anything like that. But if that's what the statistics say, and you know, I wouldn't put it past that it hasn't happened. You know what I mean? Patrick T says psychologists see same-sex attraction and looking up to a role model as no different than same-sex attraction. Skittle and they just they just give skittling a higher level of attraction. Oh, now you're saying psychologists. We ain't talking about them. We're talking about you. You know what I'm saying? Did you say that? You know what I mean? Did you say that? Did you say same-sex attraction is not a sin? I'm talking about you. Did you say it? I ain't talking about psychologists over here in New Jersey or New York or Texas or Mexico, Canada, Australia, China, uh, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Hawaii, Japan, you know what I mean? Montana. I ain't talking about no other spots in the world. I'm talking about you. Did you say that? Henry Ross says Mr. Thompson might be one of those hitting Skittles for saying what he said. Because no real man would say this. Shirley House says, so if a brother or sister says, I like that suit or outfit, it makes them a Skittle? I wouldn't say that, no. I wouldn't say that. No. Yeah, man, I wouldn't say that. I mean, if I see, a fella with some nice Jordans on, I'm like, man, yo, them the Concord, the red ones. I mean, them things is fire. Maybe I get me a pair later on. That's just me. But I think there's a difference if that man is, you could tell by, sometimes you could tell by the eyes. You know what I mean? Listen, don't look at me too long, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't come off in the way, flattery and stuff like that, like how a woman do. You know what I mean? I think it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? I like that tie, brother Harvin. It's nice. That's fire right there. But if a brother start touching on me, you know what I mean, touching my tie, but the moment he get his hand just right here, you might get a quick left hook, quick one. You know what I'm saying? I'm dead serious. Dead serious, dead serious, man. You understand? No way, no way. I think there's a difference. You know what I mean? I think there's a difference. Listen, that tie is fire right there, man. But if a brother just start touching on your tie and caressing on you and stuff like that, oh, I want to fix it. What? What? No way. You know what I mean? No way at all. You understand? Patrick T says, is looking up to Michael Jordan a same-sex attraction for a boy? Y'all don't understand what same-sex attraction is in psychology. I just answered your question earlier, man. You got all this education and whatnot. You can't understand what I said earlier? Do I have to repeat myself? Huh? Look at Kobe Bryant. He looked up to Michael Jordan. What did he do? He imitated his style. And he somewhat perfected his style, his skill. You know what I'm saying? The way he shoot, the way he dribble, mannerism. I don't think that's no same-sex attraction. You know what I mean? It's the skill, it's the talent. If you go search Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, it was a basketball game. I think it was first time playing. And then somebody was at the foul line and they both was just talking. And Michael Jordan gave him some advice. You know what I mean? They wasn't lusting after each other. You know what I'm saying? I think the question was, how you can tell what the defense is on you or something like that. Michael Jordan told him, listen, feel the defense with your legs. He wasn't looking at Jordan same-sex attraction. He want to know, man, how you know when the defense is on you like that? You know what I'm saying? Dropping jewels when Kobe first came to the NBA. I don't know what you're talking about, man. That has nothing to do with skittling or same-sex attraction. You know what I mean? All right, Jake says hitting Skittles are a problem. The organ player I knew was talking about was undercover, married. He says worked in a different country, city, county, excuse me, county and city. He didn't speak like a dandy, had mannerism, he wrote. All right, Victoria says whoever says this behavior is justified is of the devil because the Bible calls that abomination. Patrick Tree says, as I said, you said chum buckets. I've never heard of that term before. Oh, wow. Chum bucket. He says, quick to judge and quick to assume the worst. Gino Peter says, me looking up to Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat back when I was a kid ain't same-sex attraction, though. Got that right. Oh, my goodness. Wow. What's up to D. Wilson? He says, people that are that way have a serious mental problem. They know every time they go to the bathroom to take a they know they're wrong. I will never understand how they are okay with that, you wrote. Henry Ross says, to be honest, why them Skittles have so much power over many population? Because if you just opinion of them, you get in trouble, you wrote. That's true. Jake says, Brother Tony, is this a problem because good men aren't there to keep boys and young men straight? Absolutely is a problem. Absolutely, man. You know what I mean? A lot of it is in TV. A lot of it is in music, cartoons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, a lot of it is in churches. So if a young boy, if he goes to a church when there's a lot of Skittles, or some are in their family, some people get as a kid, and they don't tell nobody. You know what I mean? Uncles done touched them and stuff like that. Cousins done touched them. You know, friends of the family have touched them, or some they just like that. They just like it. You know. Shelly House says, "How about when Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas um, kissed on the court? You think they were undercover Skittles?" I wouldn't. Nah, I don't, they didn't even like each other. Honestly, I don't think Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas liked each other. I mean, I think they probably hated each other, probably to this day. Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas, they don't like each other. But I could search that up. I never knew that. Let me see if I could find this right quick. Um, Let me see. What video is this? Hmm. Let me see. Take shots of Michael Jordan. Yeah, to this day, they still don't like each other, man. To this day. That's crazy. All right, RC says, is this a free therapy session? Okay. I don't know if y'all can hear that music out there, man. All right, he said, these guys have no understanding. All right. Solomon says, what does same sex mean? M and M, M and M, F and F. You know what I mean? Jamar says the devil is dealing with those idle minds. Oh, you talking to Pat? Excuse me. My fault, at Solomon. My fault. Shelly House says, how about these parents promoting their young children to be Skittles? That's crazy right there. Now that right there is crazy. You know? All right. Oh, you said she meant Magic Johnson? Oh, Magic Johnson. Let me check that out. I haven't never seen that before. Um, hmm. Okay, I'm looking. I'm looking. So I don't really see anything yet. Oh, it's talking about their best friends. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Um. Hmm. I mean, he kissed him on the side of the head. That's what I see. And it's them back in the day. They said they best friends and stuff like that. You know. If you talking about that one, oh, you said they kissed on the lips. I don't see that one. That's not up here. Yeah, I don't see that one. Not that I want to see it, but oh, see that one. You know. All right. Michael O says, if a boy was messed with when they were young, do they grow up and be a skittle? Mm. Henry Ross says, what do you think about on the Wayans brothers, Sean and Marlon does that kiss that they do? It's like a short hug and then they kiss on the lips, not long enough though. Well, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know much about Sean and Marlon. I guess kissing or whatever. I don't know. What's up to Scotty 33? You know, but I don't know if there's any teachings. You know, on that between two brothers just showing brotherly love. You know what I mean? I don't know if that would be classified as that. You know, because I think there was two other brothers who done the same thing, but they did it in a more manner, which I thought was weird. You know, I forgot what these fellas. I think they was from Florida or something like that. Patrick T says yes many times. He says many times, but I don't know today's Michael you wrote. Jake says, is it okay to allow Skittle Trinitarians in church of pastor tells them we love you, but do not condone a lifestyle? Hmm. I mean, I've heard that before. I've heard that before. I mean, I really can't answer that question in a sense as a pastor because I'm not. But all I can say, I heard that before. Many, I've heard many are allowed in, but of course they don't condone a lifestyle. I mean, you can't kick nobody out if they're first coming in. If a person is first coming in and they're trying to kick that lifestyle, versus a person who's been in for a long time and still indulging in that lifestyle. You know? All right. What up to Zero? Shout out to you. Pastor YouTube says, interest question got me dying. Are you a Skittle? Oh, man. You got some people who answered yes. 94% said no. 6% said yes. I'm pretty sure some might be in the background of it's a mistake or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Patrick T, something wrong with you up here. Something ain't right, man. Something ain't right. That'd be another good debate right there too. That'd be a good debate right there. That topic right there. You know what I mean? That topic right there. You know? Let me see. Let me see. You don't know what Skittles mean at the wharf? Wow. Many times you come on here. All right, Solomon says, so exactly, so why is it that it sounds that you want to endorse same-sex attraction in reference to Patrick T? Mm. Wow. It's sounding like that's what he's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I don't care if it's a level 1, 2, 10, 100, whatever. You know what I mean? It's Skittles what you talking about at Patrick T. You know what I mean? There's no justification there at all at Patrick T. None. You know? I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? What's going on up here, man? I don't see that. All right. Jamal Wilson said, "Yep, that topic right there." Oh man. Jake says, "I went to church for a celebrate recovery service." You wrote. You says, then groups. You said two main groups. Number one, chomos. Number two, he says, "I'm cutting out at times." Are we good? Is the connection good? Let me know. Let me know if the connection is good. Solomon, Solomon, what are you talking about, sir? I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody says it's good. You know, everybody's saying it's good. You know, so let me know what you're talking about. You know, that's Solomon Stephen. All right, so Jake says, "I went to church for celebrate recovery service in groups, two men groups, one chomos, two drug addiction and chomos. I was going to go in with all intent, but the church was crawling with cops." You wrote. He said cops. David B says, "Why is he purposely messing up Tony's name?" I guess trolls are going to troll. Absolutely. Um, Solomon said it's going on and off. Listen, is this live going on and off? Because you got an individual saying it's going on and off, and I'm looking at myself on my computer. I don't see anything going on and off, man. I don't see anything going on and off, man. I mean, maybe it's your connection. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I don't see nothing messing up or anything. You know, on here and on my computer. So I don't know. You says your voice is going on and off. Number one, chomos. Number two, says I'm cutting out at times. Are we good? Is the connection good? Let me know. Let me know if the connection is good. Solomon, Solomon, what are you talking about, sir? I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody says it's good. That's your connection, sir. Yeah, that might be your connection. I mean, everything, everything is good over here, sir. Yeah, I mean, it might be yours. All right. Where was I? Patrick T. Patrick T. Um, where was I? But appreciate that at Solomon. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can go on and off and whatnot. You know, so I like to be clear and make sure everybody's hearing everything. So thank you for that, Solomon. Appreciate that. Patrick says, he says, "Let me up and I will explain." Let you up where? Let you up where? I don't know what you're talking about. You know Yeah, man. He said, let him up. Let you up where? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He says, the righteous judge, TH says, there's no justification when you judge every second on your show, even what people put in the chat. If you don't know, ask me. I mean, you could save that for a debate or something like that, man. Yeah, I mean, you could save that for a debate. 33 says, most definitely, sis prayers going up for you. We'll make it through. Henry Ross says, there's some on here on YouTube saying Trump is a Skittle because he referenced the dudes that secure him, calling them good looking and stuff. Your thoughts? I mean, I don't have no thoughts about that, really. You know what I mean? I'm not going to call another man good looking. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that, man. You know what I mean, the old school fellas, the older guys, you know what I mean? It was a time you can do that. It was a time you could do that and it'd be okay back in the day with the older fellas. You know what I'm saying? These days, if we was to do it or whatever, it's something different, man. Times has changed. You know what I mean? Times has changed. I remember I heard a older fella. I guess he said handsome or something like that when I was younger. You know what I mean? Which was my grandfather or whatever. You know what I mean? They would say things like that. There was a time you can do that and it would be fine. And these days, can't walk up to you. They can't walk up to somebody and say, "Listen, fella, you handsome." What? You liable to get into a fight with a real man. You know what I'm saying? Real man be like, yo, what you talking about, man? You know what I'm saying? I ain't with all that. Can't say that in these days to real men. Or if you think this guy over here is masculine and stuff like that, but he's a fair within, oh man, you'll get him clicking his heels. You know what I mean? So in these days, man, no way. You know what I'm saying? No way. All right. Let's see where we at. Um, just scrolling through. Patrick T says, when I said let me up, I was talking about let me up StreamYard. I explained what I was talking about since people are confused by it, even you. I'm not confused by it. Just because a person don't agree with you, that doesn't mean they're confused. You stated your case or whatever you believe in as far as like with same sex. We disagree with it. That doesn't mean a person is confused. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and make a StreamYard just for you to come on to explain. You know what I mean? What would be the purpose of me getting off the mobile, right? Creating a StreamYard just for you to talk about that? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said that can be a debate. Yeah, I mean, I think that right there could be a conversation for a biblical debate. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna sit here and turn my camera phone off live, shut this down to create a StreamYard. I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? So I'm not confused. You said what you said. It's just basic common sense. You said what you said. You know? And I totally disagree. Among a lot of other people, totally disagree. It doesn't matter how you slice it, how you try to explain it. Your main foundation is you're saying it doesn't matter if a person look up to or physically attracted to. You still call it same sex. It's easy to understand. Easy. That's your foundation. Anything else after that is just irrelevant because I already understand your foundation. It doesn't matter how you explain it. You know what I mean? You could come on the StreamYard and give a whole hour conversation about it. It's not going to change nothing to your foundation. You know what I mean? It's not. It definitely ain't gonna convince me to believe you, or excuse me, not to believe you, but to agree with you. I would never agree to something like that. Never. You know what I mean? Never. All right. Solomon says people may be struggling with skittling, but it's still not justified. If they want to be saved, they gotta let that lifestyle go. Absolutely, they have to. It doesn't matter who you is. You know what I mean? Even people of the church, it don't matter. You understand? It don't matter. You know what I mean? Like I said, Skittles in every church, every church, and some people put their wicked behavior on social media. You understand? They put their wicked behavior to the public. That's why I said earlier, some people don't even care. They don't care. They got one foot in, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and one foot out. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. The stuff I see, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, if I could talk about certain pastors and things like that, and news stories or whatever comes out in the social media world, other people are obligated to talk about if they see certain saints doing wicked things. They could talk about it. It's true. You know what I mean? Now that YouTuber may be still, of the devil or whatever, but if they get a hold of something that is true, hey man, that's just crazy, man. That's just crazy. I done see some crazy stuff from people putting stuff in the public's eye. And it's not no AI picture neither. Not no AI video. There's none of that. It's real stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, man. But I don't represent them people. Patrick T, I don't represent what you're talking about, man. I don't represent what you're talking about, fella. Don't listen, Patrick T. Them fairies would they would like you as their preacher. Them fairies would like you as their preacher, sir. Yeah, I mean they'll run to the Church of Christ where you at. You know what I mean? And y'all allow them to wear all pink and stuff like that. They would love that. You know what I'm saying? Especially what you just said, man. And Patrick T. Solomon says, if you could go to that testimony that PJ gave about a Skittle that felt the spirit of I can't say that word, of Skittling come out of him. I mean, many people got testimonies of that. I really don't know which one you're talking about. If you're talking about, you're talking about McQueen. That's what you're talking about. Let me know. Because honestly, people could just say anything. You know what I'm saying? They could say anything. Well, the spirit came out of me, or I don't feel it anymore, or whatever. Yeah, okay, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing for a person to say something, but it's the actions and their lifestyle is another. You know what I mean? But let me know which one you're talking about. What's up to Renee? Michael says, one of the hardest decisions I have to make is to not attend my granddaughter's wedding. She lives that life. Excuse me. When I was in the street, it would have been okay, but not now. She is hurt. Put the respect. Me? What? All right. Patrick T says, I didn't know you couldn't let me up on mobile. I didn't even know you was on the mobile. I said that earlier, man. I said that earlier. You know what I mean? Whenever I'm like this on a vertical sense, You know what I mean? Well, then again, as I'm looking at my computer, you know what I mean? It's just like a little vertical box, but you still can see like the spread of a regular video. Now on phones, it may just look like the whole screen is just me or whatever. You know what I mean? I guess it depends on the devices you're using. But anytime I'm like this, I'm not on StreamYard. I'm not on StreamYard. You know what I mean? Or anytime you see like certain graphics in the background, I'm on StreamYard. All right. Let me see. Patrick T said, I apologize. You did get it right. Not trying to convince you, just showing you the different scientists have different terms and different meanings. Well, you got to clarify yourself because you making it seem like you agree with that. You saying it. You said scientist now. What's it going to be? Are you taking a standpoint on that, or are you just saying what scientists are saying? What's up to Maureen George? Shout out to you. Solomon said there was only one when he was in a low auditorium. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know what video you're talking about. At Solomon Stephen. Anybody know what you're talking about? I don't know. I don't know that one. Yeah, I mean, I don't. And how long ago was this? Um, what's up to 6276? David B says he's talking about another sermon. I remember hearing PJ give that testimony. Appreciate that at Tortor. Um, Helena said, yes, I posted it recently on my page. Man. Yeah, I'm about to maybe start searching. About to start searching right quick. Let's see if we can find it. That's funny. Let's see if we can find it right quick. What is this? Henry Ross says, this might be a strange question, but where did it all start with all this skilling, and what is it because it's not matching up with common sense? I mean, well, of course, there's stuff in the scriptures like Sodom and Gomorrah and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I mean that's all I can really think of in reference to that. It just seemed to be more enhanced in these days. It seemed to be so much more enhanced in these days, man. And it's just running rampant in the churches, man. It's running rampant, crazy in churches. You know what I mean? And like I said, some people don't have no shame in what they're doing. No shame. And nobody's exempt either, man. Nobody. You know what I mean? Nobody. I think I read that. Patrick T says, I was trying to explain how scientists and psychologists see it. Oh, I mean, you made it seem like it was you. I mean, if that's how they see it, then that's on them, man. I don't agree with what they see it like, man. I just don't, man. That just don't make no type of sense at all. I will say that. I will say that for sure. All right. Let's see what else we at in the chat room. Appreciate y'all for coming on, chopping it up. You know. Pastor T says, started with Obama administration. The beginning of Obama administration, 1% of the world said they were Skittles. After the Obama administration, 30% of people in the U.S. said they're Skittles. 30% in the U.S. 30%. But what about those ones who didn't say anything? The ones on the DL. You know what I mean? What about that? So obviously, common sense wise, it's more. You know, it's more. Jake says, has anyone seen the higher number of Skittles in church that are piano, organ? I guess you meant players and music leaders. Isn't that the most influential ministry just under the teacher? Um, I would say it's a high influence. I would say that, but that's what I mainly seen Skittles at, even in the false churches that I went to. It's a lot of them. You know what I mean? It's a lot of them, man. And to live, I'm talking about ones who live that lifestyle, and to live that lifestyle and playing instruments or what else you say? Organs, pianos. Man, that's dangerous, man. That's dangerous. I don't trust no man like that, man. I don't trust nobody like that. You know what I'm saying? If you made a mistake, repent. All right. You trying to get right? Fine, cool. I ain't talking about them people. Those who make mistakes. I'm really trying my best to really live righteous and holy on this one. Cool, fine. But if somebody who don't care, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who's in a relationship with, if you are M, you're in a relationship with another M. If you are F, you're in a relationship with another F. And you want a church auxiliary? Oh, no. No. I don't support you. No. You know what I'm saying? Can't rock with you. Can't rock with you at all. You know what I'm saying? What's up to S Israel? Shout out to you. What's up to Mr. Peace? Henry Ross says they even have in these Catholic churches setting a Skittle apostle. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a Skittle, I think it's a Skittle church in North New Jersey. You know what I mean? But there's various Skittle churches around where as though they have so-called apostles. You know what I mean? What's up to Mr. Peace? Suzanne Miller. 9836 said, what is a Skittle? The alphabet community. That's what we're talking about, man. David B said that's not true. 30% is high number. Skittle only make up 1 and 2% of the population. What up to Carmen? That's funny. Suzanne says, I remember years ago a female Skittle tried to talk to me. He says, I guess you meant I told her no, I'm straight. Oh yeah, I mean, folks will do that. Folks will do that. In the church. In the church. Listen, so-called church brothers will try to talk to you, but they would do it in a different manner. You understand? Sick. It's crazy, man. I think might have been last year, man. I don't know that. I don't know if I deleted that message or whatever. I forgot, man. This fella said something. He said something skillish in my inbox on Facebook. You know what I mean? I had to catch myself. I said N-word. What'd I say? Did I say N-word please or something like that? I said N-word, get out of here, man. Simple as that. Or I said N-word, you crazy? I said something to that extent, man. Of course, you know, I had to repent from my mindset. You understand? What do you think I am? Huh? What is wrong with you? You know, so after I said that, he I guess he got scared and blocked me. Yeah, man. Well, like an undercover fairy to you, huh? I'm pretty sure you're probably still watching. What's wrong with these people, huh? Man, wow, man. That almost made me get on my character, man. If I'd have made a physical threat, it probably would have screenshot or screen recorded and took it to the authorities. So I'm glad he blocked me. I'm glad he did, man. I'm happy he did. You understand? Because no, I'm not one of them. You know what I mean? No way. But individuals will do that. And this wasn't a random, excuse me, this wasn't a person on the outside of church neither. You understand? It wasn't, you know? So yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I understand. But, that's that stuff not here. It's something about real men know it's something about a woman, man, a real woman who has a menstrual once a month, or how many times you have it. It's something about a woman, man. It's something about a woman that a real man desires. You know what I'm saying? What is the problem with Skittles, man? You don't know what you're missing in a real woman. you you don't know what you're missing. You really don't. you really you really don't know what you're missing. You really don't know. You really don't know what you're missing. Seriously, man. There's nothing like there's nothing compared to a real woman for an M&M to be interested in each other. Bumping mustaches? Hmm? Bumping pelvises? What? Wow. Bumping masculine shoulders. Oh man, I seen a crazy photo this week, man. I seen the crazy photo. Mm. I seen another M, a so-called church brother. Another fellow was hugged behind him in a public picture. Was no AI neither. Wow, wow, man. Listen, people putting this stuff out to the public and don't care. Don't care, man. They don't care whether we talking about people in the churches. They don't care. You understand? I had another man hugging him from behind. That's how you put it. Hugging him from behind. Excuse me. Not one time, not two times, various times. You put it to the public. Mm. As I was stating, it's something about a woman, a real woman. Something about a real woman, man. You know what I mean? Especially if she's put together right, the way you like it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody have their own preferences and whatnot. Some people may like a I don't know, a thin woman. Fine. You know what I mean? Some fellas like me, I like put some, I like them thick. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like. Like a nice thick woman. That's my preference. It's something. I'm speaking in general, but it's something about a woman that I don't understand. Why a M&M, you understand, would be hugged up with each other, bumping mustaches with each other. You know what I mean? I don't get it at all. I don't get it. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. Now, somebody brought up Keith McQueen. If he's really like taking the steps to, you know, get out that lifestyle, or if he's out of that lifestyle, Keith McQueen, because he had a whole he got so-called married to this fella. You know what I mean? And if he left all of that, if Keith McQueen left all of that to get his life back and stuff like that, as far as like being interested in women. Now he left that lifestyle, right? Let's just say he left that lifestyle, but he got some more cleaning up to do. I will say that. Get out the pulpit. Yeah, I mean, you got to get out the pulpit. Simple. I mean, because all that time he was so-called preaching and teaching while he was in that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Who ordained him? You know what I mean? There's no possible way he could have. Well, if well, it's tough. It's tough when a person was in that lifestyle. You don't know if they happen to get in a lifestyle after they've been living right, been baptized and stuff like that. Happen to backslide. I don't know the particulars to his timestamps. But the best thing for him to do is to get out the pulpit. That's the safest thing I would say. Just get out the pulpit. You know what I mean? Get out the pulpit. You know? Like somebody brought up organ players and stuff like that, musicians. If you know you got people like that that's skittling and you know they're skittle. Listen, get out of it. If that's a lifestyle that you're in, it's advice wise is to leave. Not leave, but get out of it until you can get it right. Simple. You know what I mean? All right. What up to G Strong? He said I was going to a Kojic church. He says a kid, you're not the bishop's son, who is also the choir director, pulled up in front of me in his car. All his buddies had lashes on. Wow. Wow. Lashes. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. All right. Jake says Catholic churches don't allow marriage based on corruption in Middle Ages, but it's a perfect storm for alternate boys being misguided by priests. I've heard exact same stories about three schoolmates you wrote. Zero says my cousin, he was a starburst in the church and he died of starburst. I did not go to his funeral. She Swole says, I think the reason why there's so many Skittles in the church, because they're not speaking against their sin to the point. Churches got rainbow signs saying all are welcome, you wrote. Henry Ross says, y'all know when them Democrats get back power, they're going to be going wild on these Skittles. And if anybody goes up against them, probably will be going to prison up to 30 years, you wrote. Michael says, back in the day when a Skittle would get beat up or unalive for that, do you think that they can really change? It's accepted now, out, some still get hurt. Can they change and never go back to it? That's a good question. That's a good question right there. I will say that, man. Do I think a person can really change um from that lifestyle? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? God can do anything. If that person wants to be changed and really trying their best to be delivered and stuff like that, praying, fasting and stuff like that, absolutely. You know what I mean? But a lot don't want to change. They think it's okay. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't want to change, man. They don't. But I believe if a person want to change sincerely, then yes, absolutely. It may be tough for them, especially for those who've been in that lifestyle since they was kids. Now in these days, one can't say, well, this person just became a Skittle. Really? Really? No. I don't listen. I don't believe that not one bit. You know what I mean? I believe a lot of people who are Skittles right now, they've been like that since they was kids. You understand? I went to grammar school with a Skittle. You know what I mean? And I think he lived in the same area as I did. And I remember one day, I might have been 10 or 11. So he happened to try to walk in the same direction as I was walking home alone. Try to walk next to me. You understand? And I don't know what he said or what, but I pushed him to the ground. You understand? In the dirt. Was that mean for me to do? I mean, I don't know. Well, yeah, I kind of felt bad, whatever. But hey, man, you understand? I went about my business. That was just kind of me. I was like a quiet bully, quiet one. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, that was me. And he's still a Skittle to this day. He's still a Skittle to this day. And a lot of them who were Skittles in grammar school, whether I was in the second grade, third grade, fourth grade from Jersey, I still, sometimes Facebook, people you may know because you're from the same area, they do that. Or people know people, aunts know this person, uncles know that person, and they may be family to them. And you be like, yo, ain't that such and such? Man, he's still skilling? You be like, wow. I remember him when he was in second grade, third grade. He used to get picked on and beat up. I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy. I'm like, wow, man, you know, right? What's up? To stay dedicated. Wow. Why you asking me my age? I'm 42 years old. What's the point of asking me my age? Henry Ross says, what's going on out there in Hollywood? Them girls out there are getting skinny and skinny where you can see bones. I don't know nothing about California, man. You know what I mean? I don't know. G Swole says, would you trust dating a woman that used to be a Skittle? That's another good question. Somebody put on Facebook, oh man, somebody put this on. Oh, if I could find it, what was her name? Man, they put, if you try to talk to a stud, right? You are considered GAY. For example, if me, a man, right, and there's a stud out there, right? It's a woman, a real woman, 100% woman, but she's a stud or whatever you want to call them, right? And I said, wow, I know she's a stud, but she's beautiful. If I go talk to her, now they making it seem like that man who talked to that stud is a Skittle. I said, what? At the end of the day, that's still a real woman. That man is looking at that stud. You're still a real woman. Now, if that was a M, there's a problem. But that's a real woman. How can you call that man a Skittle for trying to talk to 100% woman, but if that man try to talk to a transformer, you don't call him that? Oh man, backwards. I forgot the person's name. I can't remember, but it popped up on my news feed yesterday and earlier today. I'm trying to see if I could just randomly find it or whatever, but man, I forgot that person's name. I really, really forgot their name. I forgot. So you asked me that question: would I trust a woman that used to be a Skittle? I mean, I'll give her a chance if she changed her lifestyle 100% and trust could be built. Sure, sure. If she's honest, listen, I used to be in this lifestyle, but I'm not in it no more. I've been delivered. I follow, the teachings of holiness, the truth, and stuff like that. She's being honest, you know, with everything. You can build trust with her. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? You never, well, a lot of people are not honest with people, so you may never know if the woman you may be interested in, she probably was in that lifestyle. She's just embarrassed to tell you. Just like women out there. There may be some men who you may be interested in or talking to right now or courting right now or even you're married to. He may never told you. He may be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? He may have changed his life around, but he may be embarrassed of what he has done in the past and that with that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So y'all let me know about that. um 9836 says, why do you have your head covered? Are you ashamed of your nappy hair? Well, I have waves, actually. I have natural waves, you know? I have natural waves. So my hair is, I mean, sometimes when you're a waver, you let your hair grow to get nappy. You know what I mean? It's a method to it. You know what I mean? So sometimes I have to let it get nappy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just I don't know, it's something about when the hair just grow out, you woofing and it's nappy. When you cut it with a number one or 1.5, I don't know, the surface at the bottom, it just comes smooth together. Something about that. But in general, my hair is naturally wavy. Go on Facebook. My last picture is very recent. You'll see it. You know what I mean? Tony Fast Hands Harvin. All right. Some people call me the Hitman, but my first nickname was Fast Hands from Jersey. All right. Um, Michael said, G Swole, if you dated an ex-woman Skittle, would have to wonder if your girl would be looking at women like you are looking. That's hilarious. Now that right there is funny. Wow. Henry Ross says they only think it's okay because the media says to them it's okay. All right. Henry Ross says Donnie something. The one who sang so-called gospel music used to be a Skittle, and when he said he was cared from that life, they started to attack him. Cured from it. Excuse me. That's crazy. G. Swole says, I got coworkers that don't go to church tell me the reason why churches accept Skittles and not preaching against it because they want their money. I agree with that. What's up to Mark Drayton? Shout out to you. I agree. You know? Patrick says, can you marry a woman that used to be married to a woman since God did not recognize the first marriage? Can you? Well, I'm not here to answer biblical questions if you ask it in a biblical type of sense or whatever. But I think that's the same. See, G. Swole, he asked this question in a conversational way. You ask it in like a biblical debate, discussion type of way. You says, can you? I mean, you the evangelist. You know what I mean? So the same answer applies when I answer G Swole. You know, if I'm a man and I start talking to a woman, courting her, getting to know her, she tells her story. She used to be married to a woman. She left that lifestyle or whatever. And if everything is compatible, you know, for marriage or whatever, then hey, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? I can care less what other people are talking about or how they feel. You know what I mean? Me, I'm a person. I don't care what people say. You know, if I'm going to marry a woman and that used to be her lifestyle or whatever, then hey, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? Alina said it made no sense what she was talking about. Clearly, she's a woman. It's normal for a man to talk to a woman. Absolutely. Henry Ross says, get checked before y'all know, of course, if y'all are married. You wrote. Shelly House says, it would be hard for me to date a man who was Skittles. That's funny. Michael O says, I've saw documentaries where teen boys ran away from home and they did things just to be able to get money to eat because they didn't want to go back home. Some of them said life at home was worse than on the street. Wow. Patrick T, he says, I've been delivered. I remember that one. Andrew Cartwell of the Church of Christ. No, not Church of Christ, Church of God in Christ. Andrew Cartwell. Wow. That's Smith boy right there. G Soul says, I hear you on that when I used to. I ain't talking about that, fella. Used to flirt with a job, and she kept saying while laughing to believe she likes what I'm doing, especially when I catch her acting like a girl. I don't listen. I don't know about that, man. I ain't talking about flirting now. I wasn't talking about flirting with a stud, man. You know what I mean? But listen, if that's what you was doing, man, hey, it is what it is, man. You said, God, forgive me. David B says, Tony is patient replying to these crazy questions. Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate that. At Shannon68, shout out to you. Jake says, hate to say it here in Bama, people get fooled by deceptions. We have a lot of lady Sasquatches here. I've had to put youngsters on game. Are you talking about Transformers? You know what I mean? Are you talking about ones who um made resemble looking like a woman? You know what I mean? But some guys don't know how to differentiate. And some real men don't know how to differentiate. You know what I mean? Listen, if you got a wife, keep her. A good wife. Won't correct myself. I'm not saying if you got a bad wife, get rid of her. Go speak to a minister about that one. You know what I mean? Because if you're talking about that, man, it's getting crazy out here, man. It's getting real crazy. Real crazy. I see the funny videos that people in my news feed. You know what I mean? There be men, trying to flirt with a woman with a so-called woman from behind, right? And then when the person turn around, it's a transformer. Or they had this little pop the balloon game. There's little stuff that I used to see in my news feed and stuff like that. I'm like, pop the balloon. Where they had, the woman, pretty sure some people seen that. And one time, I don't know, somebody had it up. I said, let me laugh real quick at this stupid stuff. Right? It was men had a balloon. Or was it vice versa? But either way, those wasn't women. You know what I mean? Those were transformers. Number one, you turning dating into popping balloons, and then you're trying to trick men, real men. You know what I mean? That's crazy. 6276 says, I wonder if that church in Brooklyn was burned because of abominations committed. That's crazy. Patrick T says, I'm working hard to get that female preacher to debate on your show, whether a woman can preach or not. You know the one I'm talking about, the young one from Philly. Well, here's the I don't classify debating as preaching. You know what I mean? So if a woman wants to debate to try to justify that woman can preach, fine. But all she's gonna do is embarrass herself. You know what I mean? If she wanna dig her own grave, then hey, fine. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind allowing somebody to bury themselves, because it's gonna get real ugly. That right there is gonna get real ugly. Listen, a lot of people can't handle when you have a biblical discussion and it's a live discussion and the chat room is on. Because I notice individuals, if they having a debate, they looking at the chat room and they allowing the chat room to get to them. And man, if a woman is trying to debate the scriptures, I know majority of the people is gonna set her on fire, man. They gonna set her on fire in the chat room. Most likely she's gonna get caught up in her feelings and leave. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about the one, you're talking about the Spanish lady. If you're talking about that Spanish lady, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if individuals are going to try to fire on her in the chat room or try to get a phone number. You know what I mean? Simple. I'm being honest, man. I'm being honest. You understand? Now that's a real woman right there, sir. I will say that. All right. Let me see. All right. I'm trying to scroll down on the computer right quick. Let's just see right fast. Start that over. XO. You said, forgive me for asking, what do you mean by am I a Skittle? I said no, but can you elaborate on that question, please? Thanks. Alphabet community. Alphabet community. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, man, you can't say certain terms on here, so I put the word Skittle. You know? Henry Ross said somebody on YouTube is trying to say that LL is a hidden Skittle. I mean, LL, I think LL been with his wife since he was in high school or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's very few people that you can say you don't hear nothing about them in scandals. Their marriage is messed up, you know, and LL has been one of them. When have you ever heard LL, you know, having issues in his marriage? I will say that about him. You know what I'm saying? It's very few. But others, their marriage is all over the place. All over the place. Mess, drama, or whatever. You know what I mean? But I haven't heard that about him. You know, I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. Mike Blair, I just explained. G Swole says she's still a woman, and I remember you encouraged me to believe I can make Raven Simone straight. I need to stop going by that, by flirting with them when I know that's not holy. Mike Blair says you got too many rules. What you talking about? You know what I mean? What's wrong with having a basic conversation? You know? All right, so G Swole. I mean, hey man, if you're struggling with flirting and whatnot, and I think there's a difference between, you know, flirting and, you know, just basic talking if you're interested in a female. You know what I mean? But I mean, hey, it is what it is. I mean, if Raven Simone want to be delivered, I mean, I used to like her when I was a kid, but I didn't know she was a Skittle until like a couple of years ago. I didn't know that. I didn't know Raven Simone was a Skittle. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. You know. All right. Patrick T says if she comes on your live, I think the men in your audience will be nice to her. Hmm. Well, understandable, but you got to know that if a beautiful woman, right, comes on the live, you understand? Because everybody's minds is not there, man. Their minds is not there. And if you're talking about that so-called woman preacher, who I saw, you know what I mean? A lot of fellas, they gonna want to talk to her. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna say what they're gonna say in the chat room, whatever. But in the back of their mind, man, she was so beautiful. Man, she got a nice body and everything. Wow. Doesn't matter if men in holiness or not. I'm not stupid. Real men, that is. But if that can happen, boys, I'll see what I can do. Because I don't ever recall even seeing a debate with the so-called woman preacher and a person and a man who's against woman preaching. Now I saw a woman preaching debate with two fellas. I think Wayne Smith and Hayes debated on woman preaching, right? I think Smith believes that woman can preach. Hayes don't believe. Um, when Gabby Robinson was with the TLG, he debated. Um, I think on episode 12 or something like that. You know what I mean? On this channel, he debated somebody on woman preaching. But I've never seen a woman debating on that. All right. G Strong says, I feel like they're all Skittles in the industry world. Mm. All right, G4 says, do you think some Skittles are really Skittles or just acting like a Skittle to get attention? Um, that's a good question. Why? Because some men know that a lot of women flock around those type of men, you know? So some may do act like that just to get the women around them. Is it the best move to do? No. No. You know what I'm saying? It's not the best move to do just to get a bunch of women around you. What is the point? You know what I mean? I think a man went to I think he was a Skittle, he was a Transformer, or whatever, but he got locked up, and they put him in an all women's jail. Mm. They put him in an all women's jail. And I think he got a couple of those women in there pregnant too. You understand? So did he do that to go into the women's jail? Huh? Let me know. So um that fella dressed like a woman just to go to an all women's jail. I think that right there, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. You understand? He knew at the end of the day, you in that jail, you in that pod with all the women. You ain't no fairy right there. You are in a pod with all women. You got a cellmate, a woman cellmate. a woman cellmate, a man in an all-woman jail or prison, and a woman is your cellmate. You ain't gonna be no fairy. You know what I'm saying? All right. Michael O says, "What do you think about today's black actors that wore a dress? Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams are said to be the only ones that didn't put the dress on. Hmm. Dave Chappelle. Let me see. I want to make sure. Um, I don't think LL wore a dress neither. I don't think LL ever wore a dress neither. You know what I mean? But I don't think a man should, whether it's black or white or Chinese or whatever, I don't think you should stoop that low to take a role like that. Yes, it would be hard. It'd be hard to get. It wouldn't be hard to get a role in a movie, a TV show, commercial, Tubi, Netflix. Of course, I would go for different roles and stuff like that. But guess what you got to do? Guess what you got to do mostly? Curse and dress or be in a show with Skittles and stuff like that? Nah, no. You know what I mean? Martin Lawrence put on a dress. Jamie Foxx, the guy who played Joanna Man. Who else put on a dress and stuff like that? Tyler Perry, Chris Rock. Um, man, who else? I can't remember. Let me look it up. Um, Male actors wearing dresses. Vin Rames played Holiday Heart, right? And it was a movie called what is that? Lock Up or Lockdown or something like that. With what is that? Deontay Barnes or something like that. He had to play a role of getting, in prison. You know what I mean? I think that's just equivalent as that. Why would you take a role, right, of getting in prison? You understand? You should have told him, listen, I don't feel comfortable with doing this role, man. I don't feel comfortable. Could y'all do it another way? I remember watching this movie a long time ago. I didn't know that scene was in there. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Wow, you took the part, you accepted it. They could have did some, whatever type of scenes, not to for you to go to that level of making it look authentic. Now people are still talking about that in these days, and he said, "Oh man, he cried about doing that scene." You still took the part. You still took the money. You still took the check. You know, which is crazy. All right, Jake says Old Testament prophet is Deborah, but the context of why they started to appear, it says because the kingdom was in dear need, and if no good men would step up, that he said this throwing down for Judah. You wrote. G4 says you're right about that. When I know a dude that's just being friends with a Skittle to get closer to a woman, which I think is still would absolutely. David B said those women found out that he was a man and took advantage of him. That's funny. All right, Henry Ross says, do you think that's why there's a lot of Skittles out in Hollywood because of they're taking too much to the heart scripts and as well the acting part was that Partake don't want to leave the stage. Could be true. Could be true. Oh, Pastor T says if you don't put on a dress, you will never lead a movie in Hollywood, and you would only get supporting roles. Look up lyric up as facts unless you're too old to put on the dress like Samuel Jackson. Hmm. Scotty 33 says Robin Williams. Robin Williams. Let me see. Put on a dress. Trying to look this up right quick. Hmm. They said Eddie Murphy. Um, Brad Pitt. Hmm. Wow. Kevin Hart did it. Wow. Patrick T says if you're black and in Hollywood, you must put on a dress, your second movie, or play a Skittle. PvP says Patrick Swayze. Wayne's Brothers. Scotty 33 says. G Swole says I had a chance to be in a reality show, but I never went through with it because I didn't feel comfortable, and I believe there's going to be Skittles on it before I came to the TLG. All right, we got a couple of more minutes left before we knock off. Couple of more minutes left before we knock off. You know, it was a great conversation. I definitely appreciate it. And if you got any last closing remarks, feel free to leave it in the chat room. As we close this thing out, I hope everybody have a wonderful evening. For sure. You know, Henry Ross says, I guess I heard it's in the works. Shake says Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire, Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze. Wow. All right. God bless everybody out there. I'm Tony Harvin of the Tony Harvin YouTube channel. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody, the support, the encouragement. I'm out. Peace, peace, peace.